before he's been able to make his way onto the football field. Luis Italiano spent 5 seasons in Wellington, playing just 19 games. He looks set, though, for a decent run in the Jets side because of an injury to another former Phoenix keeper, Glenn Moss. One enforced change for Wellington. Matty Steinman is suspended for yellow card accumulation. His place in defensive midfield taken by Brandon Wilson, who debuts for the Phoenix. The other tweak sees David Ball back in the starting 11 with Josh Soterio into the reserves. English striker Gary Hooper starts for the 4th successive game. He played the full game against Brisbane last weekend, the first time he'd played 90 minutes since December of 2017. David Ball back into the starting side. The hip flexor injury nowhere near as bad as was first feared. There are the two coaches. Craig Dean's closest to the camera. He's taken interim charge of the Jets for the 2nd time following the sacking of Ernie Merrick earlier this month. His previous 3-game stint in interim charge at the start of the 2011-12 season also included a trip to Wellington. Having been linked to the vacant Western Sydney Wanderers coaching role meantime next season, Phoenix coach Ufuk Talay yesterday reiterated his commitment to Wellington. Contrary to some reports, he's contracted for this season and next. Says he loves it here and fully intends to honour his contract. A referee is one of the A-League's newest whistleblowers. Just a 4th A-League game for Ben Abraham. Wandering out to toss the coin is young Will Graham. Steven Ugarkovic has been a shining light for Newcastle this season. He started every game at the base of the Jets midfield and is in the top 6 players in the entire competition for passes in the opposition half. Cameron Devlin has made every post a winner since replacing Alex Rufer in Wellington's midfield. He's played every minute of the last 6 games and won the A-League's Player of the Month in December. Captain Stephen Taylor yesterday likened Devlin to Chelsea's French midfielder N'Golo Kante. High praise indeed. All set for a start in Wellington. The two teams come together for their final words of wisdom from their respective skippers. Stephen Taylor turned 34 yesterday. He's in fine fettle. Nigel Bogard, for the first time since round 4, has the opportunity to address his troops before accompanying them into battle. Craig Dean said pre-game he's probably been ready to go for a couple of weeks in his own mind. They've held off and held off, but they need hold off no more. Nigel Bogard joins Nikolai Topor-Stanley and Lachlan Jackson in what we expect to be a back 3 for Newcastle tonight, with Bobby Burns and Matt Miller bombing on down the left and right flanks respectively. Off we go in New Zealand's capital. Friday night football in the start of round 16 in the Hyundai A-League. First meeting of the season between these two so far this season by a quirk of the scheduling. Wellington losing their unbeaten run at Suncorp Stadium last weekend. The Jets have just a solitary point in their last 7 outings. They badly need a kickstart to their season. They'll certainly hope it comes here in Wellington. Phoenix back into the all-yellow strip that they have had such great success in. The eagle-eyed amongst fans pointed out that the loss to Brisbane last weekend was in a different strip, Fred. I don't think they'll be changing out of the all-yellow anytime soon.
No, not unless it's enforced. Yeah, interesting to see Dean's, the formation that he's put out. We thought he maybe playing some games with the formation when they did come on the team sheets, but he has gone with 3 at the back. I think what he's trying to do there is always have an overload against the front 2 of Hooper and Ball. So play with a 3-man defence. And then when the Phoenix push their fullbacks forward, then the wide midfielders and Miller and Burns have to get back and make that a 5-man defence against the 4 of the Phoenix.
Ulises Davila's early touch letting him down, which is unusual from the Mexican. Jason Hoffman, always an aerial threat. Bogard getting involved nice and early. Here's Davila again with a chance to take the ball away. Burns has it away from him. Here's Dimi Petratos in the number 10 role with number 10 on his back. Ball forward looking for Hoffman. Kikachi tracking him all the way and isn't able to prevent it going behind for what will be the first corner of the game after just 2 minutes.
And straight away we see with Newcastle, they win the ball in midfield, look long over the top for the run in behind, that time from Hoffman.
Petratos on the corner towards the near post, top for Stanley. All sorts of appeals for goal kick or corner kick. Ben Abraham decides a Phoenix player touched it last.
I think they were looking for a handball as well. I think that's what some of the appeals were for. You could see there the ball hitting, I think it was Kikachi high up on the chest near the arm, but as is the era of VAR, anything that hits you in the upper body, everyone just appeals.
VAR is having a look. That is why assistant referee Sarah Jones is preventing Dimi Petratos from taking this second corner. VAR is having a look at it.
Oh, the irony with Ben Abrahams and what happened with him and Louis Fenton.
All clear from the VAR. Petratos sizes up a second corner, but deeper this one. And Miller climbing high, not able to direct his header goalwards. Yeah, Ben Abraham, of course, was the referee when Louis Fenton was struck on the chest, the shoulder, the arm, call it what you will, in round 4 against Melbourne City, which led to his expletive-laden after-match rant. McCowett sets off in pursuit of that one. Bogard in the way.
And I think, Pliny, a key area in the game this evening is going to be the spaces in the corners beside the back 3 for Newcastle. Because you'll see here Tim Payne's get Heron down the line.
Davila ignores him and goes inside. They'll allow it the other way to the always dangerous Libby Kikachi. Pass was aimed for Hooper. It deflects off a Newcastle boot. And Wellington this time will have a corner. Man down on halfway. It looks like Abdiel Arroyo is down on halfway. Didn't catch what happened to send him to deck. This is not good news for the Newcastle Jets. Arroyo was out, of course, for about 5 weeks with a hamstring injury. This looks more like an ankle. But thankfully, the Panamanian international back into the action. Craig Deans, the last thing he needs is to lose another player. Arroyo looks okay. McCowett sizing up this corner. Taylor can hit it back, bouncing around, and Hooper looked as though he was trying to work out where the goal was. Taylor heading it back across towards Gary Hooper.
And this is very dangerous for Newcastle. Good header from Taylor, goes across the goal. No one there just to tap it home. But not great defending from Newcastle, allowing Stephen Taylor to have such a free header out the back post.
Davila takes this corner towards the near post. Italiano came and had a look at it, just wanted to make sure it wasn't going to creep in his near post. He knows the vagaries of the wind here pretty well, Lewis Italiano, having spent all that time in Wellington. First time he's ever played against the Phoenix. Good to see Lewis Italiano back inside Sky Stadium. Our best wishes, of course, to Glenn Moss as well, another former Phoenix custodian, as he recovers from that calf injury. Kantarovski dispossesses Davila. This is Jackson. looking to get Matt Miller forward nice and early. David Ball's going to have to do a bit of tracking here. We know how dangerous Matt Miller is. The arm across the front there by David Ball. Hoffman. Now Ugarkovic. On this near side, Bobby Burns is nice and high. That ball's aimed for him. Tim Payne in the way. Back in by Kantarovski. Arroyo climbing high. It'll find its way through to Marinovic. Fullbacks are certainly nice and high, aren't they? Burns is almost a left winger in possession. Good to see Matt Miller getting up and down the right-hand side for the Jets.
Yeah, very similar to what the Phoenix try and do. Just push the fullbacks well forward. And I think that is a huge opportunity for the Phoenix. Draw Burns, draw Miller forward, and then exploit the space in behind, as we've seen them do really well, either with the fullbacks overlapping or the front two players starting from centre of the park and then running in behind into those wide areas.
Bit of a mix-up between defender and goalkeeper. Here's a chance for the Jets. Taylor is there to try and rescue the situation. Still bouncing around, danger there for the Jets. Well, De Vere and Marinovic have already conspired to leak one goal for the Phoenix this season. It was almost another. Adam Lafondra was the recipient before Christmas of a misunderstanding. Burns now. Here's Matt Miller. Side netting from Matt Miller. Touch off a Wellington player, was it? Corner given.
Fantastic pressure from Newcastle. Hoffman goes in, and Arroyo there. Maybe he could have had a strike, just tried his luck. But it was a lovely ball from Burns, I think it was, out wide in that move. Just slipped a little pass inside the box for Miller, who hit the side netting. But this is the danger that Newcastle pose. Now, they've got some good quality players throughout their team, but those players just haven't been scoring. If they do get their noses in front, then, you know, uphill for the Phoenix.
Just the one goal so far this season for Abdiel Arroyo. Here's Hooper looking to bring Payne into the game. Now Devlin, ball on the edge. Is he going to try and tee up Davila? Instead of Devlin. Scrambling defence by the Jets. Another corner. We've had plenty in the first 9 minutes of this one. Sixth corner already.
Yeah, well, good work from David Ball. Holds the ball up. He's in the penalty area there, holding the ball. Strong with the ball is David Ball, and you know, his combination with Hooper tonight will be a key for the Phoenix.
Set move here with McCoward and Davila combining. Good defending by the Jets and the person of Burns. Already liking the look of Bobby Burns, the Northern Irish left back on loan from Scottish Premier League club Hearts, of course. He said during the week that if the opportunity arose, he would like to have a look at coming back. He'll go back to Hearts in the off-season for pre-season training. But he says he's enjoyed his time in the Hunter Valley. One of Newcastle's Achilles' heels this season has been conceding early goals. They've let 7 in the first 15 minutes of games this season. That's more than anybody else. They've looked reasonably secure so far in this one. It's Brandon Wilson with a touch in midfield on debut tonight. Becomes Wellington Phoenix player 147. On towards Hooper. Ugarkovic picking up the scraps. Here's Burns. Kantarovski has to scramble back. Good passing out from the back for the Jets, who have started brightly. Burns into Arroyo. Here's a chance for Arroyo. The angle was narrow. I don't think that's his stronger foot, but a real opening for Abdiel Arroyo then.
I think he's got to square this. I think Hoffman was on the back post. Lovely ball in. He's got to pass that. He's got to play there. You can see Hoffman there. Just slip it across the goal, and it's a tap in. And he's gone for glory and hit it high, wide, and not too handsome.
It's a nice ball in from Burns, isn't it? He's found Arroyo in a bit of space there in the penalty area. You're dead right. You can see Jason Hoffman on replay there, pleading for the square ball. Wasn't forthcoming. Ugarkovic. Now Lachlan Jackson. Promising start by the Jets. That one from top or Stanley, aim for Hoffman. Arroyo can't get a foot on it.
Yeah, very much Newcastle controlling the game. Having much more of the ball, very composed on the ball, not breaking their necks to try and get the ball forward. Happy to go back across the back four or back three in their build-up play and then pick their moment to go forward. So they're looking good, Newcastle, but you know, we've seen this with them in previous games. Good up until the final third, very, very poor in that final third.
Yeah, they're the A-League's bottom goal scorers. Just the 12 goals so far in 13 outings for the Newcastle Jets. An unusually quiet start from Wellington as well. They have, in previous games here at home, tended to come out and look to dominate. We've got possession and territory in favour of the visitors. That'll furrow the brow of Ufuk-Talay.
Yeah, just the moment the Phoenix can't get the ball. Sloppy passing, misdirected passes. Just coughing up possession too easily to this Newcastle side that are happy to sit back, just allow the Phoenix to get up to around the centre circle area, and then that's when the pressure starts to go on. I still think that for the Phoenix, the wide areas are the key. I think if they can get players forward and be effective in those wide areas, they can cause real problems for this Newcastle defence.
David ball clattered into here by Nikolai Topor-Stanley. Fairly uncompromising stuff, as we've come to expect from Topor-Stanley in his 300+ A-League games. Brought up 150 for Newcastle last weekend. Just the second player to play 150 games for the Jets. The other is Ben Kantarovski, of course, who's appearing for the 193rd time tonight. So double centurion perhaps in the offing. You're right, Fred. The Phoenix just can't get their foot on the ball for long periods at the moment. The Jets, by contrast, are holding on to it pretty well. Jackson striding forward. Arroyo. Now Demi Petrados has it taken off him by Brandon Wilson. He complains to the referee about the method in which he was dispossessed. Nothing doing, says Ben Abraham.
I think he's got a case there.
Phoenix look to break quickly though. Ball with Tim Payne outside. Ball shoots. Good save by Italiano. Not sure that's going in. He wasn't taking any chances. Behind it goes for a corner.
I think Demi Petrados has got a point with Brandon Wilson pulling on him, pulling him back. Petrados gave up on the ball, though. David Ball driving towards the penalty area. There was a player outside, but he decided to have a go. And that's a good stretch from Italiano. I think you're right, Piney. I think it was going to flash wide of the post.
Italiano just making sure, though, for the concession of another corner. McCallum's delivery is perhaps not what he would have hoped. They'll look to recycle through Kikachi. Away by Miller. Ball in a bit of space. Can he find a shot? Free kick against David Ball for following through. A bit of frustration for Wellington in the opening 17 minutes.
Yeah, David Ball cuts across the box and then looking to toe poke that ball. Referee Ben Abrams decides that he's the transgressor. I think in that patch of play, probably the Phoenix were looking at their most dangerous so far in this first 18 minutes of play.
Here's Petrados. Short passes with Steven Ugarkovic. We know he can shoot from distance if he gets the opportunity. It actually rebounds off his shin in the end and into the arms of Stefan Marinovic. He's just been so impressive, Steven Ugarkovic, in an often losing side. He's been a shining light. The Newcastle Jets number 6. Sloppy again from Wellington.
Ugarkovic needs a target man in those situations. He's got past on the dribble. He's got past his first man. And then he needs Arroyo or Jason Hoffman to give him a target to bounce a little quick 1-2 off on the edge of the box, because we know we've seen against Sydney where he can lash a ball when he shoots.
Once again, it breaks down for Wellington. Let's go sideline to Harry Nata. The Jets, from our angle, Harry looked to have had the best of the first 18 or 19 minutes.
Yeah, right there, Piney. Craig Dean's very content sitting on the bench here. Quite happy with what he's seen at the moment, the way the Newcastle team is starting, considering we talked about it before the game as well. You touched on it just a few moments earlier, the amount of goals they've conceded in the opening 15 minutes. On the other side of the coin, you know, the Phoenix usually come out of the blocks pretty quick. Scored, I think, 24% of their goals inside the first 15 minutes. So a different start for the Phoenix. Again, looking to press quite high at the moment, but you're right. And I've been impressed with Nigel Bugard, the way, I mean, it's only been sort of 20-odd minutes, but he's been pretty tight at the back. They've marshalled their those back three pretty well. You know, the likes of Burns and Miller up the either side are doing a good job keeping the likes of Kikachi and Tim Payne under control at the moment. So good signs, early signs for Newcastle.
Yeah, they've missed him for sure, Nigel Bugard.
I think the decision-making at times too, Piney, has been spot on. I mean, it's all about making the right choices and at the right time. So I haven't sort of taken any calculated risks as such. They've been nice and disciplined and very productive at the moment.
Burns again making progress down the left. Arroyo showing no ill effects from the knock he took earlier. Burns delivers. It's not a bad delivery, and Matt Miller had made his way forward with a diving header. 2 goals already for the Jets so far this season. He was looking to make it 3. I guess with the extra insurance of the 3 centre-backs, the likes of Burns and their Miller can, in possession, be quite comfortable in getting forward.
Yeah, for sure. And so, and that's the whole point of the back three. You know, you'd expect them to be able to look after any quick counter-attacks. By the look of it, the back three here for Newcastle, their instructions are, you know, stay back, don't try and go forward at any time. So I think they are very wary of how quickly the Phoenix can break. I think also one thing for the Phoenix, Ufuk Talay is playing David Ball in the wide right position with Ulysses Davila up top with Gary Hooper. It'll be interesting to see if that continues, because that matchup between David Ball and Topper Stanley, at the moment Topper Stanley's coming out on top in that duel.
Here's Matt Miller breaking forward again. Ugarkovic outside, has it taken off him. Ben Abraham was right there, nothing wrong with it, he said. Can the Phoenix make a bit of hay now? Devlin. Davila, he's got Kakachi outside. First cross is blocked by Libby Kakachi. He'll recycle through Brandon Wilson. Finds McCowart, who skips away from Jackson. Well done by Callum McCowart. Twisting, turning, crossing. And eventually they'll get it away. Now Lachlan Jackson's gone down and stayed down here, and he's holding a left knee. I wonder whether this was the just twisting to try and get in the right position to contain Callum McCowart.
He looks in a lot of pain, Lockie Jackson. Callum McCowart takes him on and then cuts back again, and you can see there that's not good at all. So the subs warming up immediately, and Lockie Jackson's in a world of hurt there. Just seemed to get his studs caught as you can see the physios made the signal that he's not looking too flash, and it might be time for a substitute. But McCowart cut back onto his left. Jackson was trying to readjust, caught his knee, and you could see the little pop, and obviously that's why he stayed down.
It's a real shame for Lachlan Jackson. He's been very good in the absence of Nigel Bogard alongside Nikolai Topor-Stanley. I guess the obvious substitute would be Johnny Katrumpis, although they may decide to go to a back four and bring on a midfielder. The options at the disposal of Craig Deans are Johnny Katrumpis, Kane Shepherd, Costa Pratados and Angus Thurgate. A lot of attacking players there, not too many defenders.
Yeah, it is going to be Johnny Katrumpis, Tiny. That's going to be probably filling a hole there. Straight swap for Lachlan Jackson.
That is not great for Lachlan Jackson. A real shame for the youngster. He gets a helping hand from a couple of teammates, and now from the physio it's going to be a long, slow walk, I would imagine, for Lachlan Jackson. That left knee, he's not really able to put too much weight on it at all. That is a real shame for him. There's the substitution that Harry confirmed for us. Johnny Katrumpis on for Lachlan Jackson. Jackson getting a round of applause as he goes down the tunnel not far from the yellow fever. Let's hope it's not as serious as it first looked.
Straight swap with Johnny Katrumpis going into that right side of the back three. So Craig Dean's opting just to keep the system because, as Harry said, he's very happy with the way his side have started this game. No reason to make any structural changes to the way they've set up.
He's very much week to week at the moment, isn't he, Craig Deans, waiting for the appointment of a permanent replacement for Ernie Merrick. Laurie McInnes says there are 4 candidates to take over. Welshman Carl Robinson would appear to be the favourite. He was in Newcastle last weekend to watch the Jets against Melbourne City. Payne attempting to push it past Burns. The Northern Irishman not having any of that. Here's Hooper asking Kakachi to get involved. The Jets well aware of Libby Kakachi's modus operandi in situations like that. Payne again is going to have a go at Burns, and he leaves it showing too much for Bobby Burns, who gleefully took it away from him. Devlin sliding in like the terrier that he's become these last 6 weeks and winning possession back. Here's McCowart. Kakachi. Patient from Wellington. Davila, a little pass into McCowart, who wasn't perhaps expecting it. Tucks the shirt of Katrumbis. And that will be a foul by Luke De Vere on Jason Hoffman.
And suddenly the Phoenix come alive. Now we see Kakachi bombing down the left. Tim Payne trying to get forward down the right. The ball fizzing better. The passing hitting its mark. And suddenly the Phoenix look a better team than they have for the first 25 minutes.
That's better from Wellington. Devlin breaking forward. Ball with him. Payne arriving to help out. Devlin, now Hooper. His first time pass, aim for ball. Newcastle can't clear. Davila looks to help it into the path of Gary Hooper. Not quite coming together in the front third for Wellington in the first half hour.
That was almost a beautiful move. Ball went across the line of the 18-yard box to Hooper, and David Baller made a really good run into the box, and Hooper's pass didn't get in behind the defence, but had it, then it was a 1v1 for David Ball against Italiano. So lovely build-up play that time from the Phoenix, but again, just that final pass and that final ball just not quality enough at the moment.
This is good quality from Newcastle with their passing game. Miller, far post, Arroyo. Appeals of all sorts there by both sets of players. The upshot is a corner.
It's good work from Newcastle. Arroyo gets up early, almost too early, I think, and he's up against a pretty good aerial combatant in Stephen Taylor there.
Corner taken, punched away by Marinovic. Kakachi might fancy his chances of bombing down the right-hand side here. He will. Urged forward by his teammates. Looks to free up. Devlin is fouled in the act of passing. He might just have a wee word to Nigel Bogard there. I think Nigel Bogard knew exactly what he was doing.
Yeah, Newcastle's job here is to slow the attack, allow players to get back, and that's exactly what Bogard was doing.
Once again, it's broken up. Once again, it's Miller on the run. 2-on-1 for Newcastle. Hoffman, surely.
Oh my gosh.
Dear, oh dear. Jason Hoffman in perfect position and somehow conspires to scoop it over.
Lovely work from Miller, does everything right, and I'm sorry, but Jason Hoffman, you have to just put that into the bottom corner. Leaning back, skies it over. You can see the frustration from Miller. That's the danger that Newcastle possess. Really quick counter-attack, straight through the middle of the Phoenix defence. A 2v1, and they failed to capitalise. Probably a snapshot of their season to date.
head clash between Davila and Bogard, so referee Abraham stops things immediately to allow both players to get a bit of treatment. Really good run by Miller. He's such an incisive fullback.
Bogard, sorry, coming through the back of Davila. Both players hit the deck, holding their heads. Never nice to see. But I think in that instance, I think Jason Hoffman went too far. It's almost like he was too eager to get forward. Almost had to hold his run up so that when the ball came, he could step into the ball rather than try and pull it from behind him. As we saw, the result was he scoops it up over the bar. But he'll be happy, Craig Deans. His team are playing well, better than we've seen in recent weeks.
Nigel Bogart's needing a bit of treatment. I don't think you'll get Nigel Bogart off. He's only just returned from injury. A bang on the head's not going to send Nigel Bogart off. Looks as though both players are fit to continue. Good news. Back underway. Both players back on the field. Away we go again. Wilson involved in that latest little passing exchange there. Haven't seen a heck of a lot of Brandon Wilson in the first 33 minutes. Might put a foot on it there. Was he fouled? No, says the referee. Pass is just not quite sticking for Wellington as they are for Newcastle tonight so far. Bit of space though for McCowart to perhaps exploit. No, he can't find Davila. Lou Fuktale will be becoming more and more annoyed as this game goes on, I'm sure. It is not happening for his side tonight. Here's Arroyo, sees Burns and finds him with a pass. Petratos in the area and Hoffman.
Lovely cross. Beautiful cross from Burns. Good position, good work from Arroyo as well. Dropped deep, got the ball. That's a really telling ball right on across the 6-yard line. And in those passages of play, Newcastle look as good as anyone.
Kantarovski.
I think also in those situations, it'd be nice to see Dimi Petratos actually break into the penalty area and get beyond the defensive line. Because at the moment, he just sits around the 18-yard line and leaves it up to Hoffman, Arroyo. Well, Arroyo had done the build-up work, so I think it's incumbent on Petratos then to be the guy to meet the ball across the face of goal.
Here's Devlin. Clever from Cameron Devlin. McCowart along the carpet towards Hooper. Topple Stanley seemed to stop, not sure why, and eventually got a foot in the way. And the flag is up for offside, is it? Eventually.
Yes.
No, Nicola Topple Stanley, I just think, fully expected the flag to be raised.
Well, he wanted it raised here because he knew he was offside, so he just stops and waits. And this is the rules as they are these days. Because in case the ball goes in, potential for VAR to make the decision. And how frustrating is that for a defender? You know the guy's offside. You just want the assistant referee to put his flag up.
Jets come again through Petratos. Not sure what the idea was there. Was that a pass to Hoffman?
I think he was trying to whip the ball across to Hoffman. I think he's just tried to put a real bend on it and just got it a bit wrong, and it's skied away. I can't believe he was trying to chip Stefan Marinovic in that situation. They need more from Petratos. He's working hard. He's getting back, trying to do his defensive work. Seen him track all the way back a couple of times. So certainly the effort and the intent is there, but just at the moment, Dimi Petratos not influencing the game as much as we've seen him in the past, especially when Newcastle have been getting better results in previous seasons.
Referee saw Cameron Devlin's arm across Arroyo there. That's what the free kick is for Newcastle. And maybe this is where Dimi Petratos steps up. Too far for a shot, surely, for Dimi Petratos, but plenty to aim at. Miller, top or Stanley, Hoffman. Up in the air and away by Wilson, but still there for Newcastle. Helped back in by Burns. There's Petratos. Trickery on the edge, is it? Looking to win a corner, but can't. First of a double-header tonight in the A-League, of course. The big blue at Amy Park to follow. Melbourne victory against Sydney FC. Are we going to see the return of Marco Rojas to the A-League? He's been named in Victory's matchday squad. We await news of whether he'll be involved tonight. Home side desperately searching for some impetus before half-time. It hasn't come together for them so far tonight. One of their issues in the last few weeks has been the second halves, hasn't it? Tonight, the first half has perhaps been nowhere near what they would have hoped. Can they finish it, though, with a bit of a flourish? Davila sees the ever-present Kakachi. Once again, the delivery is no good. Half-hearted calls for handball, not heeded. Can Davila provide the spark, as he has so often this season? Wilson. Hooper. Bogart in the way, and Katrumba should be able to clear. Kept it cleverly by Wilson. Now McCowart. Ball. He's urged to shoot. He might want to get a bit closer. Just having trouble getting the ball out from under their feet, Wellington.
I think if the Phoenix can just keep the ball in this Newcastle half of the field just for a couple more minutes, then, or through this passage of play and the next, I think as we get towards half-time, just the defensive line of the Newcastle team, the structure just seems to get a bit ragged. I think if they can hold the ball in the opposition half, the Phoenix, there are opportunities for them.
Well, they haven't been able to here. Ugarkovic, Miller, snapshot from Miller. Closest they've come, the Newcastle Jets offensive. That is just wide from Matt Miller.
Yeah, another good ball from Ugarkovic. Miller has time on the edge of the box, and unfortunately for him, he's just pulled that across the face of goal, but only just. That was close. Very, very close for Matt Miller. Marinovic wouldn't have got there. So the better chances of the first 40 minutes or so falling to the Jets.
Yeah, our stats are showing 8 shots for Newcastle and just 2 for Wellington. They've certainly had some chances, Newcastle, haven't they? That one, the one that Hoffman couldn't convert. Arroyo was in on goal at one stage. On another night, Newcastle could be 2 or 3 clear. Davila with some space to work in. Wilson through the middle. In fact, Devlin still going. Cameron Devlin. Hooper helps out. McCowart. That's really good defending from the Jets again. Hoffman sniffing around up front.
Yeah, fantastic defending from Johnny Katrumbas. His best piece of work since he's come on. It was McCowart had him one-on-one in exactly the position that McCowart really relishes. Trying to cut inside and smack it with his right foot, but Katrumbas was very much equal to the task.
We're into the final 90 seconds. That one rather fortuitously hits the right side of the corner flag as far as Wellington are concerned and goes behind for a corner. It'd almost be a little bit unjust if Wellington were to go ahead now. They'll try to do that though through Ulysses Davila's corner. Wilson was climbing high, played back towards Devlin. Burns in the way. Newcastle get it clear. Shot from Kakachi. All sorts of shenanigans on the edge of the penalty area. And referee happy to let Newcastle bring it away, and they have done that pretty well. Bit of a break on air. Petratos, Arroyo, Hoffman up. What's Petratos got in the locker? It all breaks down for the Newcastle Jets.
In the midst of that, there was the ball of the half so far from Newcastle. Not sure who it was, but the ball out to Petratos was an absolute ripper. And that set the counter-attack on its way. Unfortunately for Newcastle, Petratos probably just dwelt on the ball a little long. Needed to make his decision up, make his mind up a little quicker.
We're going to have an extra 5 minutes through the injuries to Jackson and the stoppage for the head clash between Bogart and Davila. Can the Jets profit an extra time? Arroyo radar slightly off again from the Panamanian.
Arroyo cuts inside Devlin and hits it wide, but a good defending from the Phoenix there. Stephen Taylor, Luke Tavia just slowing down the attack, not diving into Arroyo, just backing off, getting to the edge of the box, and that allows Devlin, who we all know has got the fantastic work rate, to get back and add an extra body in the defensive line.
Sloppy from Marinovic. Matthew Miller is collected on the far side there. No yellow card showing. It was Brandon Wilson flying in on Matt Miller. Newcastle have committed plenty of resource forward here. Petrados, his delivery a bit short. They have a chance to recycle Newcastle. Top or Stanley. Little 1-2s, which Top or Stanley is probably not going to get on the end of. Without a doubt, Craig Deans will be the happier of the two coaches at half-time. The only thing missing from his side is a goal that their dominance probably warrants. Wellington now with a chance to break. Hooper is off and onside. Linesman keeps the flag down. Ball. Hooper. Across goal. And a combination of players on the 6-yard line come together. Dangerous moment for the Jets, but they negotiated okay.
Beautiful ball from Ulysses Davila in there. That ball back to Hooper. And that teed him up for the cross. But to their credit, Newcastle, as you say, Piney, defended that very well. And now back on the attack.
And doing it well. Here's Dimi Petrados. Across the 6-yard box. Burns couldn't quite get there. Really good work from Dimi Petrados, who's often the architect of pretty good chances.
Wow, it was a great one too, to put him in that position. And that is a fantastic cross. Marinovic can't get that and just needs a body to throw themselves and get a touch on to put that home. Ufuk Talay certainly pacing the technical area.
Yeah, and well he might. Even here there's a bit of sloppiness about Wellington getting this one away. Bogart's had an inspirational half at the heart of Newcastle's defence, and now he's on attack. Wins a side of throw right by the corner flag as we enter the final of the 5 additional minutes. Is there time for one last charge into the area for Newcastle? Miller believes that there is. Katrumba's getting forward. Good into play from the Jets, and Miller keeps it in. Last action of the first half. And it's been a first half that's been dominated, without a doubt, by tonight's visitors. The Newcastle Jets have had chances through Arroyo and through Hoffman, and a couple of other really good openings as well. Haven't been able to convert any of them. The Wellington Phoenix, for their part, have just found it very, very hard to get their passing game going and haven't fashioned too many opportunities of their own. Nigel Bogard with plenty to say to the officials as he exits. He's probably missed that in his time away. Let's go sideline to Harry Nada.
Stephen, a good 45-minute performance there from you guys. You see to take it then into the second half now?
Yeah, I think that's in the past where we let ourselves down. We're going to keep going at half-time and make sure we stay in the game, because I think we're doing well. We're holding a high line, putting pressure on, and yeah, we just need to keep focused.
And confidence building, 45 minutes, and a number of good chances created there. Unfortunate not to take one of those.
Yeah, it's going to come. We just got to keep making those chances, getting in the right areas, and the goals are going to come.
Good luck for the second half.
Thank you. Thanks, mate.
We'll stay with us. More football action coming up right after this. With all the half-time action between Raf Gregorio, Norelson and myself. It's 0-0 here at Sky Stadium in Wellington between the Newcastle Jets and the Wellington Phoenix. See you after the break.
and welcome back to the action here at Sky Stadium between the Knicks and the Jets. Halftime score 0-0, and Harry Raff, the Jets really taking it to the Knicks in the first 45.
And hats off to that man Craig Deans, obviously, for doing his homework. I think that their overload 3v2 at the top, they're really using that to play for as a platform. Their two midfielders, Kantarovski and Gargovic, have been very, very good for me. They've really used that overload again, 2v1. It's too easy to play out for me for the Newcastle Jets.
Oh, look, I think they'll be disappointed to go into the break without scoring a goal, Newcastle. You're right, the Phoenix have been very, I think, very lazy at times. You know, they haven't been their usual self, but you've got to give credit to Newcastle. They've come here, you know, backs against the wall. We talked about being a wounded dog, you know, no coach, so they've really taken it to the Phoenix in the first 45.
Well, let's have a look at the action from the first 45, and the Knicks came close early on with a set piece. Stephen Taylor headering it back across goal, but it didn't really amount to much.
No, this is where obviously Hooper maybe misplaced himself there. They didn't know what was going on, headed away from goal, but from then on, it was basically Newcastle, and there's a great chance there for Miller. I think he's been really dominant this game, Miller. Yeah,
I think we talked about Miller and Burns on the other side doing really well. This is a fantastic ball from Burns. And look, probably could have squared that across to Jason Hoffman in the middle of the box there, but this was probably the best effort for the Phoenix in the first half. That ball was going in. We can see from David Ball there, good save from Italiano.
Yeah.
And this is where we think, we're just thinking, he just had to check his run a little bit, didn't he, Jason Hoffman? No excuses. He should have actually buried that.
Exactly right. He's overrun his run, you know, just went a little bit too far forward, caught in his body momentum, be pushing forward, leaned back and hit over the bar. But, mate, look, they've had a great array of chances here. This is a Miller again, just going past the post. He'd be disappointed that hasn't come inside the post, but I think they've been a dominant side. They just lack teeth in terms of their finishing, but if they had that today, there'd be goals in them.
Well, possession is evenly split across the two sides, but I think this next page of statistics will probably reveal a little bit more compared to what we've just seen. So shots off target, 8 for the Jets, none for Knicks. Shots on target, 1 apiece.
Well, at least they've been accurate.
Yeah, well, that's, you know, when you looked at Dimitri Petratos being their top scorer with 3 goals, they really have been, you know, lack that killer instinct up front. And Craig Deans talked about it before the game. They haven't been playing badly. You know, they've conceded a number of silly goals, but their performance week in, week out is improving from where he's sitting. And this afternoon, the first 45 minutes, they really have been the better side.
Well, looking at the Knicks, someone whose hard work doesn't go unnoticed is Cameron Devlin, and we spoke to him in the build-up, loving his football here, but of course he's got a different defensive midfield partner to deal with tonight, but he's still putting in the work. Yeah,
maybe a little bit of disruption there with the Phoenix, because Matty Steinman and Devlin have been sort of fantastic the last few weeks, but that's no excuse. So I think, he's had a good array of possession in Cam Devlin, but
I think he's never going to lack in tenacity, H. I think he's always going to be busy. He's all over the park. I think what they're lacking in the Phoenix, when they're out of position, him and the defensive midfielder Brandon Wilson, they're both deep. Kantarovski and Ugangovic are deep as well on their half, and they can't get close to defend.
I think that at times I've noticed in the first half on the sideline there where I've been is when the likes of De Vere have got the ball, they're looking for the likes of to bounce it off Gary Hooper up front, but I think he's been on the shoulder of defenders not looking to come forward to receive the ball at times, so hence the reason why they've had to go out wide so much with McCowan on one side or Kakache or Tim Payne on the other side. So I think they've probably got to narrow their focus a little bit more. I think and get more central and pick up balls and get in behind the Jets defence through the middle.
I think they need to dominate Kantarovski and Ugangovic. I think those two really dominate the midfield. I think you won't see Wilson play a whole game. I don't think he's got it in his legs. So I think Alex Russo will be introduced in some half in the second half. And I'm hoping that those two city midfielders, one of them may push a little bit higher, put a more higher pressure on those two defensive midfielders for the Newcastle Jets.
I think we'll see Josh Soturio sooner rather than later as well. He's been warming up for the last sort of 5 or 6 minutes before that the first half finish. So some real intense workout as well. So potentially, I think we may see a change in the opening few minutes.
Well, you speak about the Phoenix enjoying the space out wide, and the same could be said for the Newcastle Jets and the right back Matt Miller. We spoke about him in the build-up as well, and doesn't he have a lot of pace, and he's had a few shots and provided some of the best chances of the game.
Fantastic. I think he's been good on the ball. He's created quality. His crossing's been good. His time and his run's been very good, and his ability to get forward, his engine's been massive. You know, he's defending deep and bombing on, and he's creating a lot of problems for Callum McCarron out there because he doesn't know, does he take one of the 3 defenders? Does he go with Miller? When Miller stays wide, does he pull it right out of the position?
You see, there's an instant there, a couple of shots there where you see Libero Kakachi running back trying to chase Miller, and I think that's one thing that Newcastle have done really well. Burns on one side, we haven't seen much of Tim Payne, and obviously Miller on the other side, really pushing Kakachi back and making him defend. And saying that, Fred touched on it before, that there are gaps in behind the Newcastle Jets defensive line.
defenders just haven't used the ball well enough to penetrate there.
No, that's right. I think they haven't used the ball. They haven't gained position, held it long enough. One, I think they've been a bit sloppy. I think they started with the Villa, bad first touch, couple of crosses, didn't go, you know, for corners even.
Some lazy
didn't
touches, lazy passing.
Yeah, that's right. And I think that needs to tidy up. I'm sure Ufak Tali in half-time is going to be on their backs right now.
Well, a big 45 coming up here from Sky Stadium. Will the Knicks get back to winning ways? Or will the Jets revive their season? Stay with us to find out.
Here's the opportunity for Newcastle to take a 1-0 lead into the break. They weren't able to take it. Jason Hoffman scuffing the ball over from a very, very handy position. Will they be made to rue that miss? Let's go sideline where Harry Nada is alongside Phoenix assistant coach Chris Greenacre.
Well, Greeny, a sluggish start by the lofty standards that you set over the last few weeks. What was said at half-time?
Oh, again, just trying to get back into that rhythm as early as we can in the second half. Like you say, we've not really got into that groove as yet. You know, they're pressing us pretty well, and you know we need to find some solutions, obviously, to try and break that down. So again, it's about having a good start this second half. Hopefully, we can create a couple more opportunities because I think they've probably shaded it in the opportunity department. So hopefully, we can create an early chance and get that goal and get back into it.
Any changes in the second half? Are we likely to see anything pretty soon?
Not as yet, but just keep watching.
Cheers, thanks, mate.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Cheers.
Chris Greenacre alongside Harry Nada. Yeah, I think he's right on Newcastle shading the opportunities. We've got it at 9-3 in favour of the visitors. So Craig Deans has already used one of his available substitutes, of course, with Johnny Katrumbis replacing the injured Lachlan Jackson. We'll try and get some news for you on Lachlan Jackson's knee injury. It didn't look great as he walked very gingerly off West Sky Stadium. Referee Ben Abraham gets us underway in the second half. The Jets will sniff something here without a shadow of a doubt. They haven't had a lot of success here in Wellington in recent times, but after the way they played in the first half, they will certainly believe that tonight perhaps is the night where their season might get a bit of a boost. They've lost 13 of the last 16 meetings here in Wellington against the Phoenix, including the last 4 in succession. But they have had, without a shadow of a doubt, the best of the first half.
And a very bright start for Newcastle from the kickoff. Good kickoff routine. Plenty of players pushing forward. No one at the back post to meet the cross.
Yellow fever at the moment, just paying tribute to one of their longest standing fans, Cy Richardson, who lost his battle with illness in the early hours of this morning. He's been a Wellington Phoenix fan almost since the start, a passionate follower of the football club. He lost his battle this morning. Our thoughts very much with the family of Cy Richardson. You'll see the players wearing black armbands in his honour, and Yellow Fever doing their best to add comfort as well to the family of Cy Richardson. A bit of discomfort there in the penalty area, just as the applause is coming to an end. Our best to the family of Cy Richardson. Here's Stevie Ugarkovic. Miller, who was excellent in the first half, but just sitting on his heels there in the second. Probably the most impressive player on the park in the first half, Matthew Miller, in an attacking sense for sure.
He's had a very, very good 45 minutes, Matt Miller, and Newcastle have come out pretty much in exactly the same manner as they walked off the pitch at half-time. Been in the Phoenix half of the field. And again, the Phoenix just can't pass the ball properly.
Petrados making room for a shot. Wide instead and across the 6-yard box. Taylor in the way. That was Burns putting the cross in. Taylor putting it behind. The Phoenix almost the architects of their own demise then. Pretty sloppy from Tim Payne.
Yeah, couldn't find an option forward, Tim Payne, so ended up going backwards.
Delivered by Petrados into a crowded 6-yard box. Fortunately for Wellington, it fell the way of Gary Hooper. He's not likely to run 100 yards with the ball at his feet, but he might set something up here for his side. Bit of space now for Wellington and Davila to work in. Ball and Devlin linking.
See, for me, that the ball that's missing from the Phoenix this evening is the ball from the 2 defensive midfielders forward into the feet of the strikers. So all season we've seen the likes of Steinman, Devlin, Rufer trying to get the ball off the defensive line and then turn and play forward. And this evening we're not seeing that. The ball's going square, backwards, and it's all a bit sluggish. And that's allowing Newcastle to press and press effectively.
How much of that could be put down to the absence of Matty Steinman?
Oh, I think certainly partially, but I think it's probably more a fact of the players forward making themselves available as well.
Here's David Ball twisting and turning. Topor Stanley takes it off him. Nothing doing there. The crowd at the other end thought maybe there was something to be excited about. Looked a very clean challenge from Topor Stanley to me.
Piney, just an update from down on the bench side here. Josh Sotirio is going to come on, actually.
Thanks, Harry. Davila shoots.
Yeah, Callum McCowan will be the player to make way. I know the last few stages of the first half, Wilfred Tele was very frustrated, I think, with a couple of passages with involving Callum McCowan. So we saw Sotirio warming up quite vigorously in the that end of that first half as well. So preempting change there from Wilfred Tele.
Thanks, Harry. 40 minutes or more for Josh Sotirio to make an impact on this one. We'll have to start that off by doing a bit of defending. Petrados and now Ugarkovic. Bit of a heavy touch there by Stevie Ugarkovic, but his determination, well, just about wins the ball back. Kakachi eventually comes away with it. Now Stevie Ugarkovic is going to have to get on his bike. Here's Gary Hooper. Twisting and turning and winning a corner off Nikolai Topor Stanley. Gary Hooper.
Lovely ball from Kakachi. His ball across the pitch, right to the feet of Hooper. Goes inside out, but a defender of Topor Stanley's experience doesn't buy the first dummy. He's had a good game, Topor Stanley. I think he's defended very, very effectively this evening.
Some more defending to do now. Unfortunately, delivery from Davila, not what he'd hoped. Goal kick. Yeah, you look at Topor Stanley and Bogard, Katrumba since he's come on, and Jackson before he went off. They've been very solid defensively, haven't they?
Certainly have, and I think Craig Dean's mentioned that the leadership at the back with Nigel Bogard coming back in, just settling this team. And I think there's a lot less panic about this Newcastle team. And it might be that, and we saw this last season as well with Mark Rudan and the Phoenix at the start of the season. Didn't start the season very well. He changed the formation, went to a back three, and suddenly the whole season just clicked. And maybe that's what we're seeing, the germination of that for Newcastle this evening.
Sotirio with the first chance to make an impact. Well, hats off to Ufuk Tale. He's made the change, and Josh Sotirio delivers very much against the run of play. Wellington go one up. Joshua Sotirio, the man of the moment.
Yeah, and a cracking pass from Davila to set him up. Ball just rolled in behind the defence. Hooper lays it off. Davila takes a touch. I think this may come back to an offside, though. I think Sotirio took off very, very quickly. Just having seen that shot of it. It looked like Sotirio had gone, and maybe he was in front of Topor Stanley. Not Topor Stanley, sorry. Johnny Katrumbas. Yeah, I think this one's going to get chalked back. You look at the right foot there of Josh Sotirio.
Looking at the cutting on the grass there, they look level there, but the previous angle, he certainly looked advanced, didn't he?
Oh.
The VAR has given that the all clear. Well, I believe they have angles we can't see. It's always been a bit of a bone of contention. You at home, the fans in the stands don't know the conversation that's going on. The upshot is that Joshua Sotirio's goal stands. Second goal of the season for the former Western Sydney Wanderers attacker, and it has Wellington 1-0 up here at Sky Stadium.
And you said in the first half, would would Newcastle rue that miss from Jason Hoffman? Well, certainly, I think, because they've been well the better team, and now they find themselves a goal behind.
Well, Harry talked at half-time about the introduction of Josh Sotirio. He'd been vigorously warming up before half-time. It didn't take long for him to get on. Didn't take long for him to make an impact. He's trying again. Davila almost with an opportunity to double the scoreline, and it was Sotirio providing the pass this time.
And a good run in behind from Sotirio. You can see in there, inside, in behind. Whips it across. Unfortunately, Davila, under the pressure from the defender, lifts the ball over the top. But that's what Josh Sotirio gives you, especially when he gets introduced later in the game, because he's full of running. Straight away, there's more impetus up front, and the Phoenix suddenly looking alive.
Worryingly for the Jets, they've now conceded the first goal 9 times this season, and they've lost 7 of the previous 8 matches in which they've gone 1-0 down. But they've shown enough in the first half and in the early part of the second to suggest there's life in them yet. Burns with a good cross. A couple of Jets players just not quite cottoning on to Burns's cross. Long way to go for Ufuk Tele's men.
Yeah, perhaps that's the spark they need, guys, because they have been very sluggish in the first 45 minutes. And you're right, the zip and the enthusiasm of Sotirio certainly lifted that urgency of the Phoenix. That goal's done wonders. Particularly when you're playing the way they did in the first half, they just needed something to break. They needed a player to spark them into life.
Here's a goal again. Davila running onto the ball. Katrimba's caught a little bit too far forward. Sotirio with fresh legs comes in a tidy finish. Lifts the ball just over the leg there of Luis Italiano. A lot of the time you see players trying to just pass the ball along the ground, but that time Sotirio just lifted it enough to get it over the outstretched leg.
Just watching Sotirio's reaction after he scored, or rather a lack of one, I wonder whether he thought he was offside. He didn't celebrate in the fashion of a man who's just put his team 1-0 up after coming onto the field. He was very reserved in his celebrations. I wonder whether he thought, well, VAR may well chalk this off. Not that he could tell from his run, but he thought, well, I'm close to the last defender, maybe I'm off. VAR robbing the delight from football all over the world, Fred.
Sucking the life out of the game, mate. Hate it.
Payne and Ball combine. Will Ball get there? He does. It's off Sotirio's back. And Nigel Bogart's gone down under challenge from Ulises Davila. I think he got a knee or an elbow perhaps in the back or in the side.
Yeah, Davila committed to the ball, watching the ball, and just cannons into Nigel Bogart.
Well, Craig Deans does have attacking weaponry on the bench. He's got Costa Petratos, who's in pretty good goal-scoring form at the moment, Angus Thurgate and Kane Shepherd. So he's got 2 available subs left. Wouldn't be surprised to see 1 or 2 of those utilised at some stage soon. Newcastle players warming up behind the goal that the Jets are currently defending. In the meantime, on the pitch, here is Matt Miller in a centre forward's role. Arroyo is peeled out towards the left and thought he'd won a corner. Not to be for the big Panamanian striker. Only 3 Panamanians have ever played in the A-League, Fred. I won't ask you to name the other 2. But do you remember Ricardo Clark from the Phoenix? He played 2 minutes in the 2012-13 season. That was it.
Can't say they stand out.
Here's Soterio again. It's rolled past him and calmly passed out by Nikolai Topor-Stanley. Yairo Yao was the other one. He had slightly more success at Sydney FC. And Arroyo becomes the third from Panama to feature in the A-League. An hour gone in Wellington. Burns with that delivery of his. De Vere with the diving header. It's Stevie Ugarkovic. We know he can go from distance. So can Dimi Petratos. Scored a cracking goal here at the start of last season, Dimi Petratos, in a 2-1 defeat. Davila set upon by Miller. Nobody's seen that, keen to tell Ulises Davila. It was collected by Matthew Miller, and I think Miller's going to get a yellow ticket.
Yeah, Miller came in from the blind side of Davila. See Davila not expecting anyone. Miller's just come across. Just comes straight through the back of him. So deserved yellow card there for Matt Miller, who continues to try and get forward at every opportunity for his team. He's worked really, really hard.
First yellow card of the season for Matthew Miller. Here's Soterio, the goal scorer. Is that Alex Rufer warming up not far from you, Harry?
That's correct, Tiny. He's done a couple of strong runs. His knee's heavily strapped, but he's getting his warm-up jacket off. I think we'll see Alex Rufer in the next few minutes, potentially for Brandon Wilson, I think.
Newcastle come again. Ugarkovic and Petratos are the fulcrum at the bottom of midfield. Miscontrolled by Ugarkovic, and Wilson brings it away. Alex Rufer hasn't featured since the game well before Christmas at Eden Park against the Western Sydney Wanderers. We were told that he wouldn't be featuring tonight, but obviously the decision's been made to not only include him, but very shortly introduce him by the looks of it. It's a left knee injury that's been keeping Alex Rufer out of the side. Phoenix play themselves into trouble. Petratos, Miller's up there. He's all purpose, isn't he, Matthew Miller?
Ufitele not happy. Thinking Gary Hooper was getting fouled, trying to receive that ball. Again, the Phoenix pro overplaying, trying to play out from the back. Good to hold on to possession, but just again that ball forward, not coming off. And Newcastle doing a good job of just slowly strangling the life out of the move in the middle of the park.
That's lovely from Hooper. Really good pass. Tim Payne with a bit of real estate to work in as Burns struggles to get back. Ball. Looking for Hooper, instead through to Soterio. Bounces off the shoulder of Katrumbas. And they'll get a clear ball. They know they won't. David Ball looks to curl one. Couldn't quite get the angles right. David Ball, you could see what he was trying to do.
Yeah, poor clearance by Katrumbas. Would have been interesting in that instance if David Ball had not elected to shoot, but try and pass the ball, because Newcastle were at 6s and 7s there. All the rest of the defence thought that Katrumbas was going to clear the ball down the park, so they were all just moving up. So you had 2 or 3 yellow shirts just in their own little pocket of space inside the penalty area.
There was more good news, of course, during the week for Newcastle with Irish attacker Wes Hoolahan back in training this week after the ankle injury he suffered in the FFA Cup. Hope to see him make his long-awaited A-League debut in a couple of weeks. Matthew Redenton, of course, has just returned from a week-long trial with Reading in the English Championship. They decided to leave Matty Redenton at home rather than bring him across to face his former side. Given away again by Wellington. Now Hoffman with a chance to atone. Straight at Marinovic. Really sloppy defending by Wellington. They've given it away again, and that's a tug on the shirt, is it? Petratos. Arroyo, surely! Arroyo makes it 1-1. If you bang on the door for long enough, eventually it'll come off its hinges, and it has. Busted down by Arroyo for the Jets. It's level in Wellington.
Well, especially when the opposition leave the key in the door, Piney. Boy, they just handed that one on a plate. Twice they gave the ball away, just around their own penalty area, overplaying this time. Strike that time from Petratos. And Arroyo actually does really well there because he takes his time. He doesn't race in to strike the ball, just calms himself. See there, just takes his time, picks his spot, just plants it past Marinovic. And I think that's deserved for Newcastle. They've been good this all evening. Alex Rufer comes on for Brandon Wilson. And the game set up for the last 25 minutes.
Second goal of the season for Abdiel Arroyo. A composed finish. Anything but composed defending from Wellington. Rufer on for Wilson. Rufer's first involvement is a clash with Ugarkovic. The ball squirts out to Taylor. He gives it away.
It's contagious.
Well, for a team that prides itself on its passing game, this has been anything but something to be proud of for Wellington tonight. And Newcastle are quite happy to gobble up the scraps that are left for them, and Arroyo was feasting a moment or so ago. What it has done is set us up for a very interesting final quarter of this game. Kakachi gets it back. Kakachi then tries to lay it off. I think Davila's offside there. Rufer is urged to shoot. Slams into the arm. Davila! Now, what are we going to see here? There are appeals for offside. There are appeals for handball. Ulysses Davila has ignored all of them and stroked home what he hopes will be his 10th goal of the season. Sarah Jones has left her flag down. The VAR, no doubt, will have a check.
Yeah, I think this is going to be okay. From first looks, I think Rufer with the strike comes off a Newcastle defender, and much as we saw down the other end, ball falls to Davila, and he picks his spot as well. So Rufer strikes that, and there's Davila just loitering with intent just outside the 6-yard box. And as we've seen all season, in those situations, when he has the opportunity in front of goal, he has the wherewithal just to pass the ball right into the corner.
Well, VAR's had a look. VAR says it's okay. A flurry of goals in the second half after a goalless first stanza. This game's come to life in the second half. And the Newcastle Jets had no sooner drawn level than they find themselves behind again. Ulysses Davila into double figures now for the season. He's chasing McLaren and Lafondra, both of who have 13 goals so far. Ulysses Davila, well, you talked about a composed finish from Arroyo. Exactly the same from Davila, just passed it in, eh?
Yeah, absolutely. Just real quality, a quality touch from Davila to set it up, and then, as I say, he has this ability to pick out the corner just inside the post, give the keeper no chance. Got to say as well, though, that the goal came from a really poor clearance by Newcastle. Again, we saw that a few minutes ago where Katrumbas didn't clear the box, and that one was no different. Not sure who the defender was.
Well, it's another very sloppy giveaway from Josh Soterio. Ben Kantarovski doesn't score a lot of goals. He's only got 9 in 192 games. He just about went to double figures there in his career with a rasping right-footed effort.
Yeah, he hit it beautifully, just off target, but Stefan Marinovic was trying to get across.
Well, Soterio made an impact. You have to say, I guess, that Rufer did as well. It was his shot that cannoned off Topol Stanley and into the path of Ulises Davila. So he's still waiting on his first A-League goal, Alex Rufer, and what is tonight his 56th appearance, but I guess he'll take the assist.
Substitution coming up from, coming up from Newcastle. Craig Dean's introducing Kane Shepherd. Looking to make some changes. Try and get after this game, Newcastle.
Thanks, Harry. We believe it's going to be Matt Miller who comes off. That would be a surprise. Yes, indeed it is. Matt Miller, who has been, well, exceptional, really, for me, is the man replaced by Kane Shepherd.
The interesting one, Piney. Jason Hoffman's going to switch out to the right-hand side. Craig Dean's just giving a couple of instructions there. Hoffman to stay wide on the right. Shepherd more or less taking a more attacking position.
I think that's maybe fatigue. I think Miller's given his all for the cause this evening. Lasted 70 minutes, run himself into the ground because he's been up and down. He's worn a track down this right-hand flank.
It was one of the mouth-watering matchups before the game, how Matt Miller would go up and down the right and Libby Kakachi up and down Wellington's left. I think we could chalk that up to Matt Miller.
I think, yeah, I agree. I think he's been the more effective. You know, he's created a couple of fantastic opportunities, had a couple of good shots himself.
Hold that thought, because here comes a shot, I think, from Petrados into De Vere and behind for a corner. Well, you know, when the ball leaves the boot of Dimi Petrados, things can often happen, spectacular things. On that occasion, De Vere was in the way. It is a corner.
Yellow card for Stephen Taylor. I think that was interfering with some of the players in the run-up to that shot.
I think he might have made contact with Arroyo. I think referee Abraham was talking about contact with the head. There's the confirmation of it. A yellow card for Stephen Taylor, his third of the season. Ugarkovic delivers. Tim Payne thought about putting it behind.
This will be the card. He didn't say. Oh dear.
That's not it, is it, Fred?
Maybe we'll look for some more footage, because you got to hope that that's not a yellow card. It ain't tiddlywinks, Piney.
Katrumba's putting his head in and doing it well for Newcastle. Devlin scrapping. Davila finding Soterio. He can't get away from Katrumbas. Ugarkovic is everywhere. Lovely little pass, Stevie Ugarkovic. Just a touch of class like that sets him apart from other midfielders in the A-League sometimes. Topol Stanley striding forward with it. Petrados looks up. He sees Shepherd running into the centre forward position. Kantarovski. Burns. Tim Payne putting his body on the line. Here's Kantarovski looking to free up Arroyo. into the path of Shepherd, crowded out and passed out by Wellington. Not too many men up with Davila, just Soterio at the moment. Kakachi's off on a run though, and I think he'll go past the retreating run of Katrumbis. Can't get it past Bogard though. "15 minutes plus stoppages left at Sky Stadium."
Ulysses Davila obviously gets a lot of plaudits for his goals, but some of the passing and some of the little touches that he shows in the middle of the park are just superb.
Here's a case in point. David Ball! Luis Italiano saw it coming.
We saw just previously where he set up Kakachi. Just a lovely little shimmy of the shoulders, turn and just laid it into the path of Kakachi. David Ball opens up. Straight down Luis Italiano.
Another corner though for the Jets. Their 7th of the evening. Can they profit? Petranos with the delivery. Oh, it's a great header and a great save. Oh. I think that's Bogard with a header. Terrific save from Marinovic. Well, he often features in save of the week discussions. I think he's pulled out another candidate there, Stefan Marinovic. Bullet header and palmed away by Wellington's custodian. Petranos onto that left foot. Kantarovski. Heavy touch from Petranos, but they could recycle. Plenty of time left for the Newcastle Jets. No need to panic. Kantarovski striding forward. Taylor with a foot in and got a tread on the ankle, I think, as he did so. Referee blows the whistle. We might have a chance to look at this header now.
And a cracking save it was. Nigel Bogard absolutely attacks the ball. Ball bending into his head. Free header. Not great defending, but Stefan Marinovic, comfortable height, quite close to him, but reacts very, very quickly. Similar to the one at Eden Park against the West Sydney Wanderers. Stefan Marinovic on his toes and reacting very, very sharply.
Yeah, reflexes are a key for any goalkeeper. He has them in spades, Stefan Marinovic. He's got a bit of a connection, actually, to Carl Robinson, the man who looks like he might take over at Newcastle. Carl Robinson signed Stefan Marinovic during his time at the Vancouver Whitecaps. Both coaches up at the edge of their respective technical areas. There's Ufuk Talay. He's gone with the all-black ensemble tonight. Craig Dean, as we mentioned before, doesn't really know week to week when his term as interim coach of the Jets will come to an end. But he's got his side playing some good football tonight, I think, regardless of what happens. And you have to say Newcastle deserves something from this. He can be pretty proud of the way his team's played tonight.
But he talked about it pre-game. Said we've been playing okay, but tonight it's not about performance at all. It's just about 3 points. You know, we just have to get ourselves out of this losing mindset that they're in. And unless they can obviously find another goal, they are going to head back home. having had 1 point out of 8 games.
Yeah, football's a cruel game, isn't it? The table, they say, doesn't lie, but Newcastle have certainly contributed tonight and still have time to get something for their troubles. Hoffman tracking across goal. Arroyo is peeled out. Burns is in the area now. Arroyo, the goal scorer, and deflected off to Villa and behind for a Newcastle Jets corner. Another sub coming for Newcastle. Angus Thurgate, the final of the 3 substitutions for the Newcastle Jets. Another attacking player. Man with a nose for goal. Will he be the one? Arroyo goes down in the penalty area. Nothing doing there. That's gone off a Wellington player and will eventually be a corner. Another corner for the Jets. Climbing high again, Bogard. This time he couldn't get the purchase on it that he achieved with that last one. How much have Newcastle missed Nigel Bogard? He has been immense tonight for them.
Yeah, he's been really, really good. They just seemed a lot calmer at the back than in recent weeks. A lot more solid. I think the change of formation has probably helped as well, going to 3 at the back. But you can only do that when you've got the likes of someone like Nigel Bogard, Topo Stanley, who can hold their position even under pressure. So I think Craig Deans, for however long, as you've said, Finey, for however long his tenure lasts, will be very, very pleased that Bogard's back. Now they're just waiting for Wes Houlihan.
Yeah, next up for the Jets, they host Western United next Saturday. The Phoenix have the bye next week, of course. Here's Thurgate. His first opportunity to get involved. It's broken up, but he's still there. Congested middle third. Hooper manages to hold on to it using that experience that we know he has. Sets Tim Payne away. Rolls under the foot, does it of Payne? Oh, he just collects to the relief of the crowd on that far side. Tiatafai Hudson-Wihongi is stripped and ready to enter the fray.
Yeah, looks like he'll be coming on for Gary Hooper.
Thanks, Harry. Nice touch by Shepherd to Arroyo, who's making hay out on that left-hand side. No power in the shot from Abdiel Arroyo.
Arroyo, this is the end of the move through the legs of Stephen Taylor, but no power. Didn't get the ball out from under his feet, Arroyo. So just before that final shot, there's a lovely touch in the middle of the park from Dimi Petrados. He's controlled the ball in the air, volleyed it away from a Phoenix player, and then just beautifully brought it down.
Here's Shepherd. Looks to slide it into Hoffman. He's crowded out, Jason Hoffman. Marinovic there ahead of Dimi Petrados. Just while we've got the chance, want to send our best to the Oli Roos. Reno Piscopo, of course, from the Phoenix, part of that squad. An all-or-nothing clash with Uzbekistan late tomorrow night. Win and they go to the Olympics. We wish them all the best in their quest. Here's Petrados into the area. Taylor tracked him all the way and it came off. Taylor behind for a corner. Keep your head in the game, says skipper Stephen Taylor. We're going to see that change now with Tiatafai Hudson-Wihongi into the game for the last 5.5 minutes plus stoppages. And he'll take the place of Gary Hooper. Another corner for Newcastle. Good delivery. Flapped away by Marinovic. He got enough of that left hand on it to divert it away from danger. And man down in the penalty area, and Tim Payne has gone to deck, and amongst all of that, referees called proceedings to a halt so that Tim Payne can get some attention.
Ball played right to the back, and I think it was Bogard there, clashed into Tim Payne. I think he might have hit his head on the post. You can see Bogard come through the back. Yeah, I think he's just banged the post. Might be a little bit of blood there, but it looks like he's okay.
Yeah, no more replacements, of course, available for Ufuk Talay. He just sent Hudson Wihongi on, so you wouldn't want to be losing a player and having to play the last 4 minutes plus stoppages with only 10 men. But a concern there for Tim Payne from Ufuk Talay. He looks okay. Tough as teak, Tim Payne. Ufuk Talay's having a conversation with the assistant referee on his side. Newcastle in no mood to give the ball back. Driven forward by Bogard. Good header in there by Taylor. Good defending off the back of Arroyo. Given up by Sotirio to Katrumbis. Hoffman trying to keep it in, can't. Phoenix just needs someone ready to put their foot on the ball. Driven forward, and Josh Sotirio, well, he might be offside, we're not sure. I guess we're going to find out. Here is Josh Sotirio, pulls it back, Toffel Stanley in the way. Sarah Jones on the far side, kept her flag down. Good defending again from Nikolai Toffel Stanley. He's north of 300 A-League games now. Wellington crowd desperately trying to roar their side home. Benches have been cleared for both sides. Petrados looking to probe, but Devlin can't get a tackle in. Bobby Burns, was he fouled then by Payne as he got rid of that ball? Referee said it was okay. You've got the ball, the Jets carry on. They haven't now, though, as Kakachi steps in. Now, Libby Kakachi. We know what he did from a similar position late in the game 2 weeks ago against the Western Sydney Wanderers. Calm passing there from Wellington. Rufer. Trying to force a tiring Jet side to do some shuttles. Payne. Not too many to aim at in the attacking third, to be fair. Just Josh Sotirio is a bit of a lone ranger. David Ball, though, happy to help out. That's off a Jets player, so Burns has to scramble back and stop it from going behind. Bogard just about did the same thing. Probably about the first misstep we've had from Nigel Bogard all night. Sotirio is it in there. Davila, in fact, trying to get a toe on the ball. Just couldn't quite extend the leg far enough, Ulises Davila.
Yeah, a few panicking moments here. Davila just, you say, couldn't stretch out and get enough contact on the ball to get it past Italiano. I think for the Phoenix, so long as they've got the ball, they'll be happy.
We're into the final minute of regulation time. We're hearing there'll be 5 minutes added at the end of this half, as there was at the end of the first half. So still time for the Jets to take something away with them from Wellington. Marinovic quite happy to watch that one skid off the turf and behind for a goal kick from Ugarkovic. Confirmation of a minimum of 5 extra minutes. The crowd aren't that enamoured with the 5 to be added. If it stays like this, Wellington will go to 24 points. That would be level with Perth Glory, but they would have played 2 extra games and have an inferior goal difference, so they would stay in 4th place. However, they wouldn't be caught across the weekend by anybody, so would go into their bye week in 4th place. There they are now on 21. That would go to 24, of course, and Western United are the closest on 20. Even if they were to beat Adelaide on Sunday, it wouldn't be enough to get them above Wellington. Hoffman. Good pass to Petratos. Now the shot from Thurgate. What a great save by Marinovic. What a terrific save by Stefan Marinovic. Side-footed effort from Angus Thurgate. Tipped over by Stefan Marinovic.
And I think this time Marinovic reacts late. Saw it a bit late, came through some bodies.
Still work to do. Good punch. Back out to Thurgate. Snapping away is Devlin. Stefan Marinovic has been crucial in the last 15 minutes or so for Wellington, with 2 big saves to keep them ahead. Burns. Everybody just playing wherever they may be on the field at the moment for the Newcastle Jets. Desperation from the visitors as they look for an equalizer. Josh Soterio with a rather needless foul there on Johnny Katrumbas. Sets up a free kick situation for the Jets. Lewis Italiano is almost up at halfway.
There's a foul from Soterio. Gives the Jets an opportunity to just throw everyone forward. Just need to drop this over the defensive line.
Petratos does just that. It's cleared only to the edge. Burns is there. Burns again. Into Taylor. Calls for handball. VAR may have a look. I think that's hit Stephen Taylor slightly lower than his hands. All clear from the VAR. Long throw coming from Topo Stanley. Hurls it in. Taylor back on his feet and the header clear. David Ball back defending. Thurgate, fresh legs across the 6-yard box, and De Vere shins it behind for a corner. We've had 3 of the extra 5 minutes.
All hands to the pump for the Phoenix. The Jets just getting the ball in the mixer, trying to put bodies, hoping something just drops in the last minute.
Italiano is up now. Flicked on by Topo Stanley. It's bouncing around. Going to go across the line. No, it's hacked away by Davila. Well, I think all 22 players were in the penalty area then. They go again, Newcastle. Thurgate into the head of Devlin. Italiano has retreated back to halfway. Foul this time by Davila on Katrumbas.
Yeah, the ball flicked on at the near post. Marinovic comes, doesn't get anything on it. And then there's a crowd of bodies at the back post, and Tim Payne gets up well just to clear that one away. Danger that for the Phoenix.
Into the final minute. Good delivery in the box. Is that a handball?
Oh my gosh, that's a save.
Outstanding save
Oh my gosh.
from Stefan Marinovic. That is save of the season stuff from Stefan Marinovic, and he might just have saved the points for Wellington too. Outstanding goalkeeping.
And just enjoying the moment, Marinovic, he knows how good that was. Point blank, get your leg across, parry it away. That's, you know, 9 times out of 10, that's in the back of the net. And you drop 2 points. But Marinovic sticks out that left leg.
A lot of talk about outstanding goalkeepers in the A-League. That man is up there in those discussions. Has he done enough in the last 15 minutes, particularly in the last 30 seconds, to earn his side all 3 points here? Still time to play, says the referee. Phoenix will just want to keep it down that end. Whistle in the mouth from the referee. Most of the people here have no idea how they've done it. But Wellington have won this one, and that man is largely to thank. Fists clenched from Stefan Marinovic. He is as responsible as anyone for this result. Goals from Soterio and Davila cancelling out Arroyo's strike. The Wellington Phoenix get there somehow. They've beaten the Jets 2-1. Well, the Phoenix players rush to congratulate their goalkeeper. There's commiserations as well at the other end. Josh Soterio off the bench for the goal. Jason Hoffman's first half miss, and that's a little jig of delight. If ever I saw one from Stefan Marinovic. Ollie Sale, the reserve goalkeeper, knows just how big those saves were. Everybody in the ground does. Stefan Marinovic will be talking about those long into this Friday evening, and probably for most of bye week.
It's like an ice hockey match where everyone goes and congratulates the keeper, and deservedly so. Those two saves in the last 5 minutes, superb from Marinovic. But you got to say that for the second week, that last week the Phoenix couldn't get up and score the goals. This time they did. Disappointment for the Jets fans. They played very, very well, but you got to score the goals, and that's what they're not doing.
Let's go sideline. Harry Nada has Newcastle Jets skipper Nigel Bogart alongside.
Well, Nigel, an encouraging performance, particularly in the first half. Were you unlucky not to go into the break with a goal up?
I think that's been the story of our season, to be honest. We created enough chances and sloppy goals. A deflection that just falls to them. Could have fallen anywhere, it falls to them. We're asleep and they score. And they're the little details that we haven't been able to get right this year. We've had enough chances up there to score. My header, other shots, it's not good enough. We need to punish teams when we've got them on the back foot, and we haven't. And we go and concede stuff like that. So it's not good enough. There's a reason why we're at the bottom, and we need to fix things.
What's the message been from Craig in this interim period, just getting game by game?
I just get confidence back. We've played good in large parts of